Levi Parham. I hope I pronounced it right.
That's right. Yeah.
Like I told you, I was last year very impressed because I first was connected with a guy called Levi Parham, Parham, and your CD, These American Blues. Just let's go back to your past. You're from Oklahoma.
I am.
Yeah. You grew up between the records of your parents. I read somewhere.
Yeah, my father had a very extensive collection of records. Yeah, and so that was kind of my musical homework.
Does that mean that you were destined to become a musician, or that you had to become or that you had to do something in music? No.
I was just never good at anything else, and I had to figure out some way to impress the girls, and so playing guitar seemed to be the way to do it.
And you succeeded in that.
Well, sometimes fail. No, it was just something that I always just felt really passionate about from as far back as I can remember, and I loved music, and I started playing piano when I was about 10, 11 years old. And
very young.
Yeah, picked up the guitar when I was 14, and never looked back after that.
What do we have to know more about you? When you should...
You don't have to know anything about
that's okay. Next question. Question. Who are you musically influenced by, or who are your big idols? What is your style? How can we shortly describe that?
Well, I think that my writing style is definitely blues-esque. I definitely gravitate towards bluesier style of music or soul music. Van Morrison was a big influence. Yeah. Taj Mahal was a big influence. Yeah. And then, Muddy Waters and Howlin' Wolf and stuff like that. But I drew a lot of influence from a lot of different people. Yeah. So, but I think songwriting, I tend to lean on the blues side and soul side.
Just like I told you, it was my first time. It was my first CD that I got from you. The CD, These American Blues. It is your second album.
Second full-length album. The third release. I put out an EP a couple years ago, but it's kind of really my first real release. Everything I've done before These American Blues was sort of self-released.
Self-released, yeah.
And done on a smaller scale. This was the first time I'd ever worked with a producer and with a record label and with a studio album, so it was a cool experience.
Can you tell us something more about the title song, These American Blues?
Yeah, well, it was a play on words, This American Dream.
Yeah.
And I just kind of was thinking about that one day. In the very beginning line, Bobby's got a phone now, nothing left to find out, came from a conversation I was having with my dad, and he got his first smartphone, and
it's about digitation.
Yeah, and he Googled something, and he said, "Man, there's nothing left to find out."
Yeah. about the fact that
just anything you want to know.
It drives people apart.
Yeah, in a way. And so yeah.
In the title you have American Blues, but is it a blues album or an Americana or more?
It is what it became. What it became. I mean, it was never intended to be a blues album. No. Like I said, the title "These American Blues" was just a play on words with This American Dream.
It was your idea to put that title on the album, yeah.
Yeah, and actually we had a big debate about that because we were wondering if people would think it was a blues album and if it would stray them away.
My question, is it a blues album?
No.
No. I don't think so.
No.
It's larger. You have more influences.
It's like cooking with a seasoned pan. You get a little bit of the flavor from wherever the environment you're in, and we were in Austin, Texas. We were recording at Cedar Creek Studios, which is a iconic studio for Americana and country music and folk music. And so I think that working with Jimmy LaFave, who was my producer, and working with the engineer there, it just ended up having sort of a more middle ground. Yeah. It's funny because today when you hear the songs on stage, you're going to think it's a rock and roll band, and which is what I think I am in my head.
Yeah.
But I love that about music, is that it's such a changeable medium. It's not like painting a picture and that's what you have. You can sort of make a song and it sort of lives and breathes. Yeah. It can be anything you want it to be.
Can you compare it with your album before, an Okie Opera?
An Okie Opera was sort of my first attempt, and so
for me it's a strange title.
An Okie Opera
because of Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. That's why.
It's all just tongue in cheek. Everything I do is tongue in cheek. It's me. It's my attempt at being funny.
You play with words.
Yeah, and an Okie Opera is like it was almost like saying hootenanny, like this idea of trying to put something together beautiful, but you're sort of doing it in a very poor man's way, and that's kind of what I had thought of when I was making that album, and so that's what I called it.
It's an album with almost all originals, except one. The Chemical Train.
Yes, These American Blues. Yeah.
Songwriting, is that an easy job when you have to do that?
I wouldn't say it's an easy job, but I'm not a.
You do it always, or is it just
I'm pretty
a moment
prolific.
that you do it now?
I mean, I write songs all the time. Sometimes they're not very good, but I try to write pretty consistently. Yeah. I mean, I've been on the road this last month, and I've written a couple tunes, and so I'm always trying to work on something. Like I said, it may take 10 songs to get one good one. But
that's normal, yes. Does that mean that your songs are very personal?
Sometimes. Yeah. I think that I have a filter that I run through, and so everything that I do ends up sounding a little personal, but if I were to tell you maybe the influence, you would kind of laugh because it's so impersonal. I tend to draw, I can draw inspiration from something, and then somehow when I filter it through, it still comes out being very connected to me, and when it didn't come from that place. So it's kind of funny.
You just mentioned one name, Jimmy LaFave, the late Jimmy LaFave.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How do you remember him? Because he was I may say, your mentor. He was somebody who stands behind you.
Yes, he really helped me out. He was very instrumental in helping me get my career going, and I'm forever in debt to Jimmy for that. He, I always looked up to him, and as a kid, he was from Oklahoma, and he went to Austin and made his career, and he just called me one day out of the blue, early 2014, I believe, and we started having these phone conversations, and we would just call each other and talk for a couple of hours until finally, I knew that he was maybe eventually going to say he wanted to work with me, but we were sort of doing this dance, and I was just kind of waiting, and then finally one day he said, "Hey, let's make a record." And I said, "Yeah, let's do." And so,
but he was very ill at the last.
He was already ill, and he wasn't really letting anybody know. And looking back, I realize now how sick he really was.
One of the lucky ones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I think the last project that he produced was These American Blues. Other than he worked on his own record before he passed.
What did you learn about yourself by being a musician, by writing songs, by singing for people?
That I really love. I think that every kid that starts off, there's something exalting about being a musician. You're on stage and the lights and all this, but I've come to find out that it's much less about yourself, and it's much more about the people that you're sort of you're serving, and it's a service industry. And once I figured that out, I got a lot more contentment from what I do. I love touching somebody's life in some way, or just being a part of people's lives in some way. And if I can make somebody happy or make them feel something or think something, then I just feel really connected, and that's a cool feeling.
What turns you on beside music? You are a musician, but do you have also things beside music?
I have my daughter.
Oh, don't say skating or something.
No, it's really funny because
I saw somewhere I think on Facebook that photo of your daughter.
of my daughter, yeah, she's pretty much number one in my life.
That's very good to hear. What are the plans for the near future? Are you still working on perhaps a new album or new shows or?
Yeah, next year will be a new album that I just recorded in Muscle Shoals.
Oh,
with a really great
famous studios.
Yeah, we got the opportunity to go down there, and we jumped at the chance, and sort of I had this idea of, there's this great thing going on in Tulsa, Oklahoma, kind of where I'm from. I'm not from Tulsa, but that's kind of my musical home, and I have a lot of really great musician friends there and really talented people. So I had this idea of bringing all of them to Muscle Shoals and sort of combining the two styles and creating this album, and so that's what we did. We Jesse Aycock, Paul Benjamin, John Fulbright, Dustin Pitsley, Dylan Aycock, which is playing drums with me tonight, and so we just brought in a really great crowd of people, and Lauren Barth, which is really amazing. But
still more items on your what I call the bucket list, things that you want to do, or
there's never ending.
People that you wants to play with.
Yeah, that's never ending. That's never ending. Yeah.
Okay, I have a last question, Levi. You're performing at 19 hours, at 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock.
Okay, what can we expect? What will be on the set list? You already presented your people that you're playing with, but what maybe expect?
Well, like I said earlier, this is going to be a rock and roll show. We rehearsed last night, and I'm going to be playing electric guitar, which I don't always get to do because I'm on the road alone by myself most of the time, and so I play acoustic and playing a bunch of songs off of These American Blues, playing a couple songs off of a Noki opera, and also playing a few songs off of the new record, which doesn't have a title yet.
That's very, very, very good to hear.
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Levi Parham, that were my questions. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you.
And for more Levi Parham shows, you have to be in October and November in Arnhem, Leiden, Os, Amsterdam, and Groningen to see this guy. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, man.
Thank you.
All right. Appreciate y'all.